I was preaching in Malaysia.
Na me kan sam no e Malaysia.
You know, after the conference, the host of the conference. Normally, the conference ends on Saturday, and then on Sunday, the speakers will be ministering in various churches. So the host of the conference said to me, he said, Charles, there is this church. It's a Baptist church, and no, they don't like this thing about speaking in tongues, and yet they want somebody, one of the conference speakers, to come and speak. And you see, when I look at you, I know that you can handle them. I mean, when I go there, they will throw me out. But you, I know that you are gentle, you can handle them. So the whole of the Saturday night, I tried to pray and I couldn't pray. I tried to read the word. I'm not able to read the word. I just lay down in that hotel room and began to speak in tongues and pray. And I said, God, I am yours, O God. I am not here by myself. I am here because I am yours. Whatever it is, I am yours. The following Sunday, I went to that church. They picked me up. I started preaching, and I preached that day. I preached, I think, about 12 minutes or so. 7 minutes into the preaching, I saw people just getting up from their seats, coming to stand and lifting up their hands. They want to be ministered to. Didn't mind them, continued my preaching. After 12 minutes, finished preaching, and I started praying for them. They had, you know, Baptist church, and they don't like, so they are just strict, and everything is in a jacket, and so they said, well, church starts at 9. 11 o'clock, church has closed, so you speak around this time and you end, and then they will come and say, so which songs do you want us to sing? So the church is supposed to close at 11. I was ministering to the people that were standing. And then people will come. Because it's a community church. So when I minister prophetically, then they will go and a whole house will follow them. So the church that was supposed to close at 11, we left the building at 3:30 p.m. So I went back to the hotel and I was sitting down and was asking God what happened. And he reminded, he says, have you forgotten that you prayed that you are mine? If you are mine, then it is not about their program, it's about me. So when you were praying and you were saying you are mine, I gave you audience, and because I gave you audience, the people must give you audience. When you worship, God gives you audience, and when God gives you audience, listen, nobody can refuse you in this life. Nobody can refuse you in this life. You will become the likable person on earth. There is nothing about you, but there is something called glory that eyes cannot see. And so when you come close to people, they can reject you, and so they will do things for you before they remember that they don't do it for people. John chapter 9 and verse 31, I believe, it says, but now we know that if anyone is a sinner, God does not hear him. But those who are worshippers of God and they do his will, he hears them. Worship, I'm going somewhere tonight with a message. Worship will let God give you audience. And when you have audience with God, you have audience on earth. Tonight I declare that in your worship of God, in your praise of God, in your surrender to God, in your life that is offered to God, may Jehovah give you audience. And because you have audience with Jehovah, may you find audience everywhere in this life, in the name of Jesus. Another thing about worship is that when your life is surrendered to God and you are able to do the other things that has to do with worship, it can easily expose anything that is not right around you. It can easily expose things that are not right about you. That is why sometimes we will not preach the word, but in an atmosphere of worship, the spirit of sickness and disease, they can't stand and they begin to live. They begin to run. They begin to run away. You know why? You know why? One day, that woman who brought the alabaster bottle of oil, she broke it and poured it at the feet of Jesus. And then the disciples began to say, hey, this thing, you could have sold it, you could have sold it, and we would have gotten money. That was her worship. Somebody say worship. Friend, if your life is not given to God, you can't give money to God. It becomes difficult. It becomes so hard. But when your life is given to God, you will know that whatever you give to God, He will give it back to you. The woman broke it at the feet of Jesus, and the disciples were saying, oh, you could have sold this for this, you could have sold this. And then that guy also opened his mouth. Somebody say that guy. Say that again, that guy. You know that guy? Who is that guy? Who is that guy? He also opened his mouth and said, I am holding the money back. We are broke. And this is our turning point. So Jesus, you shouldn't have allowed her to break it. Let us take it to the market. Jesus looked at him. And he says, Judas, you said this not because you love the poor, but you said this because you are a thief. But this thief has been walking with them all this while. It took worship to expose his heart. When you come into a dimension of worship, wrong things around you will be exposed. Evil things around you will be exposed. Deceptions will be exposed. Anything that seeks to destroy your life can be exposed. That's why in an atmosphere of dealing with Balaam, worship is very important. So we have come to a point where it is not just our singing, but our lives belong to God. Our families belong to God. Oh Jesus, I was in South Africa. And then after meeting, I came back to sleep. I was sleeping and I felt that I needed to pray more. So I started praying. I prayed for about 3-4 hours. Deep into the night. And then when I finished and I wanted to sleep, I started having an interpretation of what I've been praying for. Because you know what I was praying for? God, my family belong to you. God, my family belong to you. God, my family belong to you. Just around that time, you know what was going on? There was a kind of disease, an infirmity that the enemy has loosed around my family. So what was intended was that it was supposed to leave one person, go to another person, go to another person, go to another. When it started and we stopped it through prayer, God said to me, do you remember when you were in South Africa? Remember that night when you were praying and you said, my family belongs to you? Says, this is what you were dealing with in prayer. When you come to a place where you are in worship, evil things are exposed. Things that are hidden are exposed. Things that are wrong in your life and around your life, they are exposed. So that you can deal with them. Listen, you can't deal with Balaam without a life of worship. Remember, Balaam is standing on a high mountain and you are in a valley. It has to take a life that is given to God. The reason why Balaam could not curse them, he says something, he says, for the shout of the king is amongst them. He was declaring the people are not alone. El Elyon is with them. El Elyon means God most high. So if me, Balaam, I'm standing on a mountain, there is a most high God. My mountain is high, but there is a most high. Somebody higher than me. Somebody who is the most higher than where I stand. I may be standing on mountains 3 tops high, but there is El Elyon behind the children of Israel. That El Elyon has made it impossible for me to curse them. When you come to a place of worship, you release the hand of El Elyon, the God most high. And because you stand in a higher form and in a higher ground, more higher than where the enemy stand, you cannot lose.